Now, you know, we've had for the last 3 weeks, we've had some of the most awesome preaching that you could ask for. I mean, it was awesome. And, you know, but my assignment is different. You know, Andy, he preached last Sunday. He got all these texts from people. Some people even left here. You know, he get all these texts about how great it was. And he said, "Dad, you ever get any texts?" I said, "I'm afraid not." See, apostles, you either love them or hate them. Amen? Yeah, it's just the way it is. So the last 3 weeks served a couple of things. Number one, I think it was setting the stage for what we got to do this morning. But also it was giving me a time to prepare for this. Now, what I mean by prepare, I mean it gave me the time and the space for God to get it across to me that this is what's got to be done. Okay? Now, the title of this today, and y'all can go ahead and get down, was I wrote down that I was going to call it Wake Up America. But then I realized, you know, the reason that America is asleep is because the church is asleep. So it's time for the church to wake up. Now, you may be like I used to be. I know some of you probably are. And I used to be at the place that I didn't pay a lot of attention to what was going on in politics, in our government, or in our nation. And I know a lot of people are so consumed with their ministry and consumed with trying to get the needs met and make a living and all these things that we don't give much consideration or much time or thought to what really is going on in our country. And so that's where I come in, because it's my responsibility to let you know, okay? And so we're talking about this morning, wake up church. It's time to wake up, okay? Now, I want to use 2 verses of Scripture to start with. One of them is found in Hebrews chapter 13, and it's in verse 8. And if you want to turn, you can, but I don't see too many turning, so I guess I'll just go ahead and read it. But in Hebrews chapter 13, the 8th verse, is very familiar Scripture. It simply says this: Jesus Christ, the same yesterday and today and forever. Jesus is the same. Now, he's the Son of God. He's third person of the Godhead, or second person of the Godhead, we say. So if Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, then God the Father is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and Holy Ghost is the same yesterday, today, and forever, because these three are one. God said, "I'm not a man that I have to repent." God does not change his mind about what he has spoken. He will not change his mind about what he has spoken. So now turn with me to Psalms, the 9th chapter, the book of Psalms, the 9th chapter. And you might want to turn there because you don't hear much about these kind of things anymore. But somebody has got to do something. Andy talked last week about the a will to fight. Okay? And so we've got to start fighting. The church was silent, has been silent too many years, and we've been run over by sin. Yeah. Right. Did you know that when I came in to the kingdom in 1970, I came into a legalistic situation, holiness church we called it, and everything was a sin. Everything was a sin. And now it doesn't seem like anything's a sin anymore. Hello? You can just do whatever you want to do, but you know the Bible doesn't teach that. Somebody asked me the other day in the barbershop, "You're a Christian?" Yeah. They saw I had my hat on, I try to wear it every chance I get. My, Make America Great Again hat. And so they saw that, I said, "I'm a minister." And of course they were all for Trump, and I told them I was a minister, and the first thing they want to know, "You believe in once saved, always saved?" That's the universal question. Okay? Well, yes and no. Okay, you understand it now? Okay, all right. But notice this, and these are kind of verses you don't hear anymore. In Psalms 9th chapter, the 17th verse, the wicked shall be turned into hell. The wicked shall be turned into hell. And all the nations, everybody say nations, and all the nations that forget God. And all the nations that forget God. Now, dear friend, let me tell you something. If you could see into the realm of the Spirit this morning, and you could look at America. As a matter of fact, Brother Hagin, and I believe it was around 1958, 59, he's got a book about, I believe, in visions, and he talks about the visions that he had, and he was able to see the United States of America. He saw like a map of the United States, and he saw 3 dark spirits coming in to this nation, taking over this nation. I need to read that and find out what the 3, but one of them was Islam. And this was back in the 50s. Okay? There is a war going on in the heavenlies. The only hope and the only chance that this nation has of surviving, the only hope is the remnant. Not the church, as we know church, because they're not going to say anything. Because they have, well, anyway. I purpose to stay away from my way of saying things today. It's not about Democrats and Republicans anymore. It's about light and darkness. We're in a war. And I want to talk to you about some things this morning because you might not understand, even when you watch the news, might not understand what they're saying. The first thing I want to talk to you about this morning is socialism. Socialism, this is what a socialist government is about. Socialism means that production, distribution, and exchange would be owned or regulated by the government. Is everybody all right back there? Is Barry? In the name of Jesus, I rebuke you, you foul spirit from hell. Everybody pray in the Holy Ghost. Listen to me. I've been here 31 years. This has never happened in 31 years, as far as I know. Does anybody know of another time? I don't remember. I don't ever remember this in 40 years of ministry. This is not a coincidence. This is an attack of the devil because he hates what I'm about to tell you. Because what I'm about to tell you is going to uncover him. It's going to reveal him. And it might even spare some of you. It might even help you to see truth and not be deceived and fall into this situation right here where the wicked shall be turned into hell and all the nations that forget God. Now, I told you that we're in a war here. Didn't I tell you? Socialism is what the Democratic Party has been transformed into. Democrats, liberals, one and the same, they are socialist. Everyone that's bidding for the presidency in 2020, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, there's several others. Oh, I can see their faces. They're all socialist. Now listen to me very carefully. A socialist nation, a socialist government means this, that the production, the distribution, the exchange would be owned and regulated by the government. Let me tell you, if you start a business, work your fingers to the bone to start a business, honey, it is not your business under socialism. It is God's business. It is the nation. It is the government's business. That means they control it. Socialism started with a man by the name of Karl Marx. He was a philosopher from, I don't forget if it was Russia or Germany, but anyway, he's the father of socialism. Hitler, Adolf Hitler, was a socialist. He was able to get 70 million Germans to follow him in genocide. They murdered 13 million Jews and people with handicaps. That's the kind of thing that socialism does. Socialism has never worked long term. The Netherlands, France, Sweden, Germany, and Brazil are all in turmoil right now because of socialism. But the number one that we're seeing is Venezuela. Venezuela is the number one country in the whole world in oil production. They produce more oil than any other country in this world. They had an economy that was one of the strongest, if not the strongest economies in the world. And now the people are starving. The people are marching in the streets because they have nothing to eat. Because the president led them into socialism. The biggest oil-producing country in the world should be the richest country in the world, and now their people are starving to death. And the other nations that are sending relief, the government is stopping them at the border and burning up their food and their medicine and their supplies. This is where Democrats, whether they know exactly what they're doing now or not, this is where they're taking us. As a matter of fact, Bernie Sanders, he doesn't mind telling you he's a socialist. And last time he ran, he used Venezuela as an example of how socialism works. Sorry, Bernie. See, I don't watch CNN for the same reason I don't drink water out of a commode. I turn over there every once in a while just to listen to them and see what they're telling on Trump now. Yesterday on Fox News, the President of the United States spoke for 2.5 hours. I turned it over to CNN, and guess what? They had Bernie on there making his bid for the presidency. And he was, where was he at? He was in New York, but I don't remember if it was the Bronx or exactly where he was, but he was in New York. Had all of these young people, and that's important. Yes. All of these young people are behind him, shouting him down. Are you listening to me? Before they can ever establish socialism, they must disarm the people. Vladimir did it. He said it. Lenin said it. Hitler said it. Mao Zedong said it. They all said if you're going to control a nation, you've got to first get the guns out of the hands of the people. This is where the socialists are today. This is where our democratic government is today. Their main objective, just like this asinine, ignorant, low-life woman by the name of Stacey Abrams, who ran for governor in the state of Georgia. These are the kind of things that she was promoting. She's a socialist. She is out to make Georgia an example of socialism working in the state of Georgia. Thank God we have enough smart, intelligent people to vote in the other candidate. They only see, because the real people, they smarter than that in Georgia. But now she got her votes out of Atlanta, where the idiots congregate, and other large cities. But they're going to try to take our guns away. And listen to this. In 1929, the Soviet Union established gun control. From 1929 to 1953, they killed 20 million people. 1911 in Turkey, when they issued gun control, from 1915 to 1917, they killed 1.5 million Christians. In Germany in 1938, and this was Hitler's time, from 1939 to 1949, he killed 13 million Jews. China in 1935, established, gun control, took the guns away. As a matter of fact, when I was over there, I took my iPad, and I was just, in my spare time, I was just going to look up some of the gun sites. You can't even look up a gun site. The government has it blocked. You can't even look up Hickok 45. He's the guy, that demonstrates different kind of rifles and so forth and so on. But in 1935, China issued gun control, and from 1948 to 1952, killed 20 million people. In Guatemala in 1964, they took away the guns. From 1981 to 1984, they killed hundreds of thousands of people. In Uganda in 1970, did the same thing, and from 1971 to 1979, they killed 300,000 Christians. In Cambodia, in 1956, same thing, and from 1975 to 1977, 1 million educated people were murdered. In the 20th century, over 56 million people were rounded up and exterminated using gun control. Somebody has got to say something. Somebody's got to do something. Some preacher's got to preach something. Because this is what they're after. Pelosi's got something before Congress now. You know what she wants to do? Let me tell you what she wants to do. They want to establish universal backgrounds to buy a gun. Could I just tell you this? These people play on your ignorance. They come on there and they tell you all that stupid. I got guns. I shoot guns. I know something about guns. I know something about buying guns. When you go to buy a gun, you have to fill out a form, and then they call the ATF or the FBI to confirm that you are worthy of having a gun. That's already in place. Unless you got a carrying permit like I do. They have to, I've been in stores before I got my carrying permit, and it would be late in the day and say, you'll have to wait till tomorrow because we can't get in touch with anybody at the ATF right this late in the day. So you'll have to come back tomorrow and let them run a background check on you before you can get your gun. That's not true anymore because I got a carrying permit. I go in there and I show them the permit. Hello? All right. And everybody needs one, in my humble opinion. Okay. So that's why they want our guns. The reason we have the Second Amendment is because their thinking and why they established the Second Commandment. I'm talking about the founding fathers. The reason they did this was so that we could have a militia that would come against and fight and stand against tyranny. And that's why the government wants our guns. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Every time there's a shooting, they want to take the guns away from the people that never shot anybody. It is sick. They want to disarm you because when they do, they got control over you. You got nothing to fight back with. Now, I'm not saying this for you. I'm just saying it for me. They come after my guns, they're going to kill me. Then I'll get my guns. Not because I love my guns so much, because somebody has to take a stand. I'm just telling you the truth. These people are, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. There's this lady, 29 years old. Her name is Alexandra Cortez. She's never done anything. She's never built anything. She's never had a business, just out of the blue. Now, I think I got this right. I won't, because probably, I want to get his facts right. Honey, my facts are right. I've been studying this. I've got the information. Amen. Well, this lady is from her district is the Bronx, and is it Brooklyn or anyway, her territory got 16,000. Only 16,000 of the people are registered to vote. She got voted in because only 4,000 of them voted. In Hiawassee, Georgia, they have a lesbian mayor. You know how she got in? They hid the election from the people and did it beyond their knowledge. And so she got her group to vote her in. I mean, if you just get 2 votes and nobody else voted, you're in. How do you know? I've been talking to guys up there. What they did is they want to come in and they want to get all these business regulations and where they can park and where they can have their entrances, and none of the people knew anything about it, and so they are taking over that town. Just like the Democrats are trying to take over this nation. Watch this. When it comes to socialism, 18 to 24 years of age, people that are 18 to 24 years of age are for socialism, 56%. Do you know why? Because they are being brainwashed in our schools and our universities. As a matter of fact, when that woman, Stacey Abrams, she came out with all that stupid stuff she's going to do, illegal aliens, bring them in, let's bring them in and feed them and let's let them vote. Right. See? Well, of course they're going to vote Democrat because they're the ones giving them all the free health. Amen. Right. The food stamps, the welfare, and everything else. Right. That's what the Democratic Party is trying to build on. Right. And so they brainwash them and teach them socialism. That's why Bernie Sanders, when I watched him yesterday in New York, all these people behind him were young people. Because they want free education. They want free health care. They want free everything. Where is the money coming from? The government does not have any money. The only money they have is what's in your pocket and in your bank account. Socialism goes in and will only let you make so much, because if you go over a certain amount, they're going to take, and this is what Cortez said, and we could take the money and give it to the ones maybe that don't even want to work. But they deserve the same amount as everybody else because they are American citizens. The age group between 25 and 34, 48% of them favor socialism. 55 to 64, only 27%. And 65 and older, 22%. Our young people, not all, thank God, they are being brainwashed. Our schools have become nothing more than a center, are you listening to me? Yes. Of indoctrination. People who graduate from college, they come out with a mindset usually that we've got a global warming problem. That we need climate control. And so they're using that as a means to bring in socialism. Because we got to, where's the money going to come? This Cortez lady, you know what she said? She said in 12 years, the world's going to end if we don't do something. So her answer is to do away with all gas-operated automobiles. I'm sure that the car companies, auto companies, are really going to like that. How many people are going to be put out of work? She says we need to do away from airplanes. You know what the funny thing about it is? The knucklehead from Hawaii says, well, I don't know how I get back and forth, but I'm all for it. How many know they'd have to go by boat? She wants to do away with gasoline. She wants to do away with nuclear power. She wants to do away with coal. She wants to do and make everything. She wants to tear down every house in this nation that uses any kind of heat like that. And they want to make solar heat. You heat your house with solar. To do what she is saying to do. And the sad thing here, she is a complete idiot. And you think, well, nobody's dumb enough to even think that way, but you got some of the Democrats lining up behind her. What she is talking about would cost $93 trillion. $93 trillion. The tax, that would mean that every person in the United States would have to pay $63,000 a year in taxes. Pelosi has been in Congress for 31 years. She has got, in those 31 years, she's got 2.3 million tweets. Cortez has been in 2 months, and she's got 3.3 million tweets. Oh, socialism takes away your incentive, your creativity, your vision, your hope, your zeal. Why go out and start a business for the government? Why go out and start a business to take your money and give it to the people that will not work? They have taken our Social Security and drained it dry. When I started paying Social Security, I could retire at 65. You can't anymore. They've raised it a year, and now they're going to raise it to the age 70. Why? Because they threw that money away on something stupid, like giving $170 billion to Iran. Of course, Trump took it back. God bless the man. I'm here to tell you, friend, this nation is in a war. You and I, it's coming down to us now. See, it's not going to be out yonder forever. Our educational system are deceiving and programming and brainwashing our kids. I didn't know it, but Anessa told me a few weeks ago that they're even practicing yoga in the school system now. That's demonic. Teaching you to meditate, not the Word of God. You meditate through and that yoga deal, and you're opening yourself up to demons. And she told the teacher her child wasn't doing it. And you know what? I thought about years ago about starting a Christian school, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But what are we going to do about our kids? It's basically child abuse now to send your kid to college. This Stacey Abrams, when I saw what she was all about, I said, I bet you anything that she went to an Ivy League school. Sure enough, I looked it up. She went to Yale. That's where the indoctrination is coming from. Let's talk a little bit. I've got to move along. Let's talk about, and if you don't believe this, you need to study it and look it up, and you'll find the same thing I found, because it's true. See, I've heard them out in my home. I've heard them with this. Yeah. See, they say, well, if we don't do something about global warming, let me tell you what. Jimmy Carter, I heard him say it now. Jimmy Carter in 1974 said that if we don't do something about gasoline regulations, that we will use all of the gasoline in the world in 5 years. You know what that was all about? It was all about going from 30 cents a gallon to $2.80 a gallon or $3 a gallon. That's all it was about. That's what shot the price up all at one time, because Jimmy Carter, the socialist, lied to the people. And that's exactly what they're trying to do with this global warming. I know that we have pollution in this world. I'm not denying that. But are you crazy enough to think that we're going to just tear the United States down to the ground and build it back in 12 years? I don't think so. The second thing I want to talk about is abortion. In Virginia, the governor of Virginia, he said, they can't get it passed. I don't think he can get it passed. But he's promoting killing a baby up until the time of birth. In other words, you can kill. Don't tell me I don't have my facts right, please. Don't embarrass yourself. Because at the end of the day, honey, you got a dead baby. You got a murdered baby. So now you can murder these babies up and through 9 months. Of course, you know about the New York legislation where now, no, I got that wrong. The Virginia governor, the Virginia governor, he is promoting killing the baby after the baby's born. In other words, when the baby's born, the doctor and the mother will have a conversation. Yeah, and they'll make a decision as to whether they won't let it live or kill it. Now, the New York legislation is what passed the law that now, and maybe that you can, and here again, don't tell me I don't have my facts straight, because a dead baby is a dead baby. Right. That now you can kill a baby up until 9 months, the time of birth. And Congress defeated a bill last week. 44 Democrats, every Democrat voted down a bill that said you could not kill a baby if it survived abortion. Let me say it so you understand it. If they try to abort a baby and the baby survives the abortion, and the baby is born, you can kill the baby. We came up with this term, fetus. Jacob and Esau, two fetuses, wrestled in the womb. When Esau was born, they were twins, and when Esau was born, Jacob reached and got his heel. Because, you know, he wanted to be first. I mean, this is a spiritual thing. This is an operation of God. He wanted to be first, and he wound up being first, and you know how the deception came. But the point was that you had twin fetuses fighting in the womb. They're still fighting today. Jeremiah, you know what the word says in Jeremiah, the 1st chapter. It says that God said to Jeremiah, before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. I knew you. He didn't know a fetus. He knew Jeremiah. When Mary, the mother of Jesus, went to Elizabeth, John the Baptist's mother, and gave salutation, John the Baptist, the fetus, what did it do? It what? Leaped in her womb. Did you know that if you kill somebody, because they say that fetus is not a person, but if you kill a pregnant woman, they'll get you for double murder. You can't have it both ways. Either they're a person or not a person. If you destroy a certain turtle egg, you will be fined $100,000 and 1 year in jail. If you destroy an eagle egg, you will be fined $200,000 and 2 years in prison. We can protect animals, but kill babies. That wasn't a fetus in that egg. That was an eagle. That was a turtle. Are y'all out there? When you destroy, you know what, Tanya? I'm glad you weren't aborted. Because all babies have a blood type. They have their own DNA. And when my wife needed a kidney to live, we had somebody who wasn't aborted. That was a perfect match. So how many perfect matches have been flushed down the commode? It's sick. It's sick. What about organ donors like we're talking about? What about how many of them died that might have had a cure for cancer? Because every child that's conceived has something in its DNA to contribute to society, to the world. Now, let's talk about the LGBTQ. Lesbians, gays, bisexual, transgender, queers. Did you know in Genesis chapter 1 that God said, let us make man in our own image. And he made them male and female and transgender and bisexual. Is that what he did? He said, let us make man in our image. Meaning, there's only 2 genders, not 3. God didn't create anything other. There's no third gender. I'm sorry. Leviticus chapter 18. Now remember what I told you. I told you that that Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Now let me tell you real quickly where the devil has deceived us. Where the devil has deceived us is he said, well, now you're in the age of grace, and Jesus has come now. And so the Old Testament has been done away with, yes. But guess what? God's heart, God's mind, God's view concerning sin has never changed. It was against God's law to commit murder under the old covenant, under the law. It is still against God's law to commit murder today. So we want to say that everything's changed and God's different now and he understands things now. But this is what you need to understand in Leviticus chapter 18. Starting in the first verse, he says, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, which I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Ye shall do my judgments, and keep my ordinances, to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. Listen, you shall keep therefore my statutes, my judgments, which if a man shall do, he shall live in them, for I am the Lord. None of you shall approach to any that is near to your kin, to him to uncover his nakedness. I am the Lord. Now you can read all this, but I'm just going to tell you what he's saying in all of this. Read it for yourself. When he says uncovering the nakedness, he's talking about having sex with them. And what this says in the 18th verse, 18th chapter, he says that you shall not have sex with your mother. You shall not have sex with your father. Now see, what he's saying is these other nations do this. The people of Egypt do this stuff. The people of Canaan do this stuff. You cannot have sex with your sister, your brother, your son-in-law, your daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, aunt, uncle, neighbor's wife or husband. Any kind of sexual activity outside the covenant of marriage. But then he goes on over to the 22nd verse, and he said, Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is an abomination. All of these other sins that he's talking about here, he didn't use the word abomination. Hello out there. Until he got to that. And abomination means this: a thing that causes disgust. See, it's disgusting to God for a man to have sex with a man. It means disgust. It means hatred. God hates it. He said it's didn't he say it's abomination? Yeah. Well, look and see what abomination means. It means a thing that causes disgust and hatred, disgrace, honor, curse, evil, violation, and many other words that I didn't write down. And he said, these are the nations, these nations that do this. And that's why he's writing it, because people were doing it. Well, they're still doing it today. And he said, neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therein, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down. Therefore it is confusion. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these things are for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you, and the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity upon them, and the land itself vomiteth out the inhabitants. But yet in the United States of America, it's not a sin to be a homosexual. It's not a sin to commit homosexual acts. Chapter 20. Now remember, yeah, but that was under the old covenant. So God changed his mind? Could I ask you something? If you go and ask people who are homosexual, they say that's not sin. But having sex with your mama is sin. Having sex with your daddy is sin. Brother, sister, aunt, uncle, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, daughter-in-law, that's sin. To have sex with another man's wife, that's sin. To have sex outside of marriage, that's fornication, that's sin. But homosexual is not sin. That's stupid. Somebody asked a person, was it you telling me this? Or Apostle Jonas? I believe it. I don't know. Anyway, he said, is it a sin then for a man to marry a man and have sex? Well, they said man and man, two men have sex. Well, it's not a sin if they're married. Could I tell you this? We're looking, those of us who have any understanding because of what God says in his word, we are looking for judgment to come on this nation. I'm here to tell you it's already here. It's already here. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Let's go to Romans. And you know where I'm going, I'm sure. But now we're coming to the New Testament. Maybe it'll make some people happy, but probably not. So you don't understand, homosexuals are born that way. My observation, my experience over the years has been that homosexuals come out of families where the father is not present. I've seen it in families where the father drove a truck, long haul, long trips, and was never home with his son. I've seen it when they didn't have a father at home at all. And I've seen it when it's in a family where the woman wears the pants. Where the woman, see, the Bible says that God created Adam and he said, I'm going to make for Adam a helpmeet. He didn't create Eve and say, I'm going to create a helpmeet for Eve. The word says that the man is the head of the woman, even as Christ is the head of the church. If you get that out of order, you're going to wind up with homosexuals. I've seen it too many times. Well, they're born that way. Come on. You're either a Y or an X. Or is it Y and Z or Y and X? Huh? Y and X chromosome. You're either one or the other. You're either born, just like you're either born with a penis or with a vagina. And if people would teach their children, son, look down. That means you're a man. That means you don't play with dolls. You don't have Barbies. You don't wear everything pink. Of course, I look good in pink. But I'm secure enough in my masculinity, I can do that. See, you don't have to look at me and try to figure out, is that a man or a woman? Because a man ought to look like a man and a woman ought to look like a woman. Do you know the Bible said it is an abomination? It is an abomination to God, disgusting to God, for a man to put on the apparel, or a woman to put on the apparel of a man. It's an abomination. The word says that. Look it up. I think it's in Deuteronomy. I hadn't thought about that one. It just come to me. But that's what it says. It's an abomination. And, of course, the extreme was, when I came out of the holiness, a woman couldn't wear pants. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about drag queens and things like that. Did you know that there's things on the internet, I think Lisa Gilbert shared this, where teachers have a group of kids around, and they're teaching them that it's all right to be a transvestite. It's all right. See, it's all right. It's all right. No, it's not all right. But you don't understand they're born that way. Adulterers born that way too. It all is in the same chapter. But if a man commits adultery, then it's a sin. But then if a person commits an act with somebody of the same sex, all of a sudden they were born that way. I saw a man on TV the other night. They were interviewing him. He says, I am a pedophile. He said, I've never touched a child. I've never would touch a child, but I'm still a pedophile. There is a growing group of pedophiles out there that are connecting through the internet. And there's more than you would ever imagine. I don't know why we haven't seen this since, but this has probably been this is 20 years, maybe a little bit further back than that. The Franklin County Citizen, I don't even know if they called it that then, they had an ongoing report, document, I guess you would say, every week for several weeks, and it listed in this county how many pedophiles, how many people were molesting their children and their grandchildren. But they were born that way, see, and they can't do anything about it. We've made it all right for them. Instead of telling them they can be delivered, instead of telling them they don't have to be that way. I went to school. There's two boys in there, and we'd all go out and play baseball, football, recess. We did boy stuff, and they would hung out with the girls. I'll stay with the girls and play dress up with the dolls and stuff. Two of them. You know what needed to happen? They needed a daddy. And they needed somebody to say, boy, you're not doing that. That's demonic. Get your fishing rod. We're going fishing. I'm going to teach you how to shoot a gun and a bow and arrow. Come on, we're going to the woods. Are y'all listening to me? When Logan came up, well, Eddie was over there. One day we was talking about it. I said, I'll never buy you anything to play. I'll never buy you any video games. I'll never buy you any Xboxes. I'll never put one penny into that kind of foolishness. I bought him guns. I bought him bow and arrows. I bought him knives. Guess what? He's a man. He's in Afghanistan right now. He can squat 380 pounds. He's not a bit confused about whether he's a man or a woman. I didn't raise any homosexuals. You know why I don't have any homosexuals, children and grandchildren? You know why? Because I'm a man. I was an example of a man. They grew up seeing what a man was. What? I got to read here. I said I wasn't going to get excited, but here. Honey, let me tell you something. This is breaking my heart to see what's happening to this nation. When I was in school, boy, they taught against communism. Khrushchev was president in Russia, and he said, "We're going to take over the United States, and we won't have to fire a shot." Islam is doing the same thing. We have elected, you see, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama brought all these Muslims in, put them up there in Minnesota, and dumb enough to think they're going to blend into our society. They are up there, and we just elected a woman into Congress who says, first of all, she hates Jews. We ought to stop Jews from even coming into this nation. She's a Muslim. They swore her in on the Quran, not the Bible. She openly says her mission is to make the United States a Muslim nation. Now, these women, please don't tell me I don't have my facts right. Please don't embarrass yourself and don't act stupid. I know what I'm talking about. All Muslims have the same demon. They follow the same, I don't care if you call them moderates or jihadists. They all serve the same demon, and they all have the same agenda. And that is to take over this nation. And you don't have to worry about them. They will never do it. They'll never do it by running planes into buildings. They will do it by getting into government. And now we've already got one or two. I think it's two. And in Johannesburg, Africa, there's only 2% Muslim. But 25% of the city council are Muslim. They've got an agenda. That's right. We better wake up, church. We better pray. And we better thank God every day for Donald Trump. He's the only president I've ever seen in my lifetime with a backbone. The only one. They hate him. The news media hates him. They hate him so bad because he confronts them. He is so much like me, I have to love him. He and I are like two peas in a pod. He's up there. Nobody intimidates him. You hear what I'm saying? It doesn't make any difference what they say to him. He's going to counterpunch. He's going to come back and tell the truth about it. He was saying yesterday, he's had a big rally out in Houston. They entered one of these places where the Rockets play. They filled the place up and had thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people outside that couldn't get in. But a CNN reporter got there 2 or 3 hours before it started and took pictures of the empty auditorium and went and published it in the paper and said nobody showed up. That's the kind of fake news that's going on. They are indoctrinating you every day. You do not put something in front of you that you don't want in you. Okay. Romans chapter 1. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. you ought to have, God said, you ought to have enough sense to look at the sky, to look at the clouds, to look at the moon, to look at the stars, to go down and look at the fish. A little purple fish with a straight line down the middle, purple and yellow. Every kind of insect. And then all these other creatures that eat the insects. Anybody ought to have enough sense, if you've never heard of God, to know that there's a God, that somebody is in charge and control of this, and once you cry out to that God, you're saved. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. See, it's the educated people that are promoting all this stupid stuff. They're educated beyond their intellect. They can't look at the Bible. They can't look at the Bible by faith. They look at the Bible through reason. Barack Obama stood up and said, you have to use reason when you read the Bible. You better not. You better use faith. If I read something in there that don't sound right, I'm not going to say, well, I need to reason this out. I'm going to say, I may not see the whole picture here, but I know this is God's word. It either is or it's not. Now, see, here's a big problem, guys. This is a big, huge problem. You don't believe what the Bible says about homosexuality because God did not understand. God did not understand that people are born this way. Everybody's born some way. Everybody's born with something. I mean, I was born, before I married my wife, I wanted to have sex with every good-looking woman I saw. Hello. Most men are that way. Actually, it's called being a man. I never, you had to keep it under control. And once I was born again, it didn't make any difference what my urges were. I went to the Word, and I resisted the temptation. Anybody here this morning? So we're going to take that part of the Bible, and we're going to say that God missed it right here. And then we're going to try to believe God for our healing, for our miracle, for our finances. But then subconsciously we're thinking, well, faith begins with the will of God. I can't really tell you for sure God wants me to prosper because he missed it over here in this area. So if I can't believe what he said here, I can't believe what he said over here about healing or deliverance or salvation or being. Let me tell you something. And this is just Apostle David talking to you. I've about come to the place. See, we've made salvation so easy. Oh, you just come down, say a sinner's prayer, and go out and live the same way you always did. You didn't get saved. You're not born again. And I'm believing that there's more and more and more people that I've known that have been in this church and through this church that we esteemed highly and thought they were saved, and I don't even believe they were saved. How can you have a new nature on the inside of you that would allow you to do these things? How you have to sear your conscience with a hot iron to be able to do this. Let me read on. And they changed the glory of the incorruptible God into the image made like to corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the Creator. It's called secular humanism. I'm not. You don't. God. I'm not going to hurt. If something hurts somebody's feelings, then it can't be God. You're worshiping the creature more than the Creator. Somebody tells you, I can't help myself, and you believe it. You just worshiped the creature more than the Creator, because somebody's lying. God's lying or they're lying. Who changed the truth of God, took truth and changed it into a lie and worshiped and served the Creator more than the creature, more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause gave them up unto, God gave them up to vile affections, who even their women did change their nature and natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, dear God, burned in their lust one toward another. Men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of the error. That sounds just like what we read over in the Old Testament. God didn't change his mind when he got to the New Testament, did he? And even as they did not to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do the things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of injury, murder, debate, malignity, bite-biters, and so forth and so on. Now, I want to read 1 Corinthians chapter 6, starting in the 9th verse. This is Paul writing to the church, New Testament. Do you not know that the unrighteous and the wrongdoers will not inherit or have any share in the kingdom of God? I'm glad I didn't write that. Do not be deceived, misled. Neither the impure or immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor those who participate in homosexuality shall inherit the kingdom of God. Am I reading this out of the Bible? It's amplified, but it's all the same. Wake up, folks. Wake up. I'll try to be quick with this. The liberal socialist agenda. Number one, this is what you hear from them all the time. Racism, 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 racism. White privilege. I ought to tell you about my white privilege one of these days. See, every time they say racism, they have programmed every person's mind to see when racism is mentioned, all they can see is the white man abusing the black man. Let me say that again. Every time racism is mentioned, the whole country has been programmed to see the white man abusing the black man. And they call that racism. Honey, I have had black people abuse me. I've had them try to whip me. I've had them try to kill me. I think there was some racism involved there. I bet you, now listen, let me tell you that there's always going to be racism. Because men are spiritually dead when till Jesus comes. And we get a new heaven, a new earth, you're going to have racist. But you're going to have black racists. And you're going to have white racists. And you're going to have brown racists. And you're going to have all kind of racists. Till Jesus comes. Yes, yes, yes. But I'll just tell you my experience. from my perspective, and maybe you don't travel where I do, of course I'm not black either, but everywhere I go, grocery store, Walmart, it doesn't make any difference. Everywhere I go, I see black people that are treated just as well as white people. I see people speaking to white people speaking to them. I see them holding the door open for them, helping them with their buggies, doing all kinds of stuff. Morgan Freeman said, they asked him, and you know who that is, he's a black actor. And they asked him, what do you think about Black History Month? He said, I don't think we ought to have one. We don't have Irish History Month. I'm Irish. Are y'all listening to me? This is the only month we separate. See, that's separation. That's separation. That's making me and you different. That's driving a wedge between me and you. I never owned a slave. I don't like African American. I don't like that thing because you're not African American. You are American. You've never been to Africa. I'm telling you the truth because I am sick of it. I am sick of them every time we want to close the border to keep MS-13. We want to keep the sex traffickers and the dope out. See, we want to do all these things, and because we do, they call us racist. They're all about racism. They're all about, they divide. Barack Obama, he undid years and years and years of work that was done where equality was concerned. He was the most divisive, racist president we've ever had. That we've had in my lifetime. And by the way, guys, it was the Democrats who tried to get the slaves free for years, and the Democrats are the ones who wouldn't allow it. Did y'all know that? It was the Democrats. It was the Democrats. Democratic Party. If y'all didn't know it, go look it up. And the Republican Party worked their rears off to finally get to the place that we could set the slaves free. See, you know LeBron James? You know what he said? He said the black people are still suppressed. We're still slaves to the white man. Because his boss, his commissioner, they're white. Somebody needs to talk to LeBron. Because I think there's a difference in making $40 million a year and somebody on the plantation that had barely enough to eat, didn't have a place to live, separated the families, lived through all kind of hardship and hell. I think there's probably a difference. But that kind of mindset and that kind of talk from people in position, it gets into your brain. They asked Morgan Freeman, what are we going to do? How can we fight racism? He says, shut up and quit talking about it. Quit living back there in slavery. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you what these Democrats have done. They've taken the slaves off the plantation and put them in the projects. They didn't set them free. They just give them another master. I hope I'm not offending anybody, but I'm trying to break a mindset here because this is division. This is division. That's what they are doing. That is their agenda, to divide this nation. See, they're after the black vote. But let me tell you this, 80% of abortions are black babies. You know where they put the abortion centers? They put them near the hood. They put them near the projects. They put them in the black neighborhoods. And you think that is somebody that cares about the black race? I'm trying to help all of us. I'm trying to help all of us. I love every person in this church, no matter what your color is. It does not make one bit of difference to me. It's like Martin Luther King said he was looking forward to the day when people would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by their character. All right. Global warming, abortion. I'm talking about the LGBTQ. Background checks for guns. Let me tell you what that's about. We already have background checks. What this is about, what Pelosi's trying to get through now, is that you cannot buy a gun for somebody else and give it to them. And you cannot, if you buy a gun and you give it to your wife for protection, and she kills somebody coming in her house, they get you for murder. You cannot have a gun that you didn't buy personally. You can't loan your gun to somebody for protection. But they don't tell you that because they're a bunch of liars. They're all about feminism. Oh, God, don't get me started. Women marching in the streets with little vagina hats on their head. Sick. Demonic. All right, man, we're going to get us some hats. I ain't going there. I don't know what that's supposed to do. I mean, I don't see it just makes you look like a total and complete asinine idiot.
That's right.
If you're a woman, you already got one. What do you need one on your head for? Jeez. Do you see where we've digressed to? Do you see these people have no shame? Oh, God. They degrade the role of the man, the father, the husband. They're always degrading. I mean, we men, they're trying to make us feel like, be guilty for being a man. I'm serious. There's a war on Christianity. Now, you can do anything as a Muslim pretty much, and they'll oh, God. You can say something about Islam, and man, they'll crucify. They'll get you for a hate crime or something. But you can say anything you want to say about Christianity, and nobody says a word. They believe in open borders. Now, all of these people, Pelosi, Barack Obama, all these, Chuck Schumer, all these people have walls around their house. Football fields have walls. Stadiums have walls. Why? To keep people out that didn't pay a price to get in there. I'm all for people coming in. I met some Spanish people, great people. Hard-working people. Just get here and just get in here legally. They're allowing Muslims to overthrow this country. They're giving out welfare and allowing illegal aliens to vote. That was Stacey Abrams' big thing. She even attacked agriculture. I mean, if you don't, where does she think butter beans come from? They have no respect for our veterans. They'll take billions of dollars every year and give it to illegal aliens and let our veterans suffer. They're bound to no term limits. In other words, when you get in there, see, if you get in a district where you got a bunch of idiots, see, that's all you got to do is get in and they'll re-elect you, because what you're going to do is you're going to deceive them into thinking that you are helping them. Hello? And then they'll just keep voting you in, voting you in, voting you in, voting you in. There will be term limits. And good Lord Jesus, I'm going to tell you this. They are always wanting to increase the taxes. The reason that and another thing that this Alex Cortez, she says we got to quit eating beef. You have to do away with beef. Because cow farts are eating up the ozone. I've never been around too many cows. I mean, I've been around, some of y'all raise cows. I ain't never heard one fart. I guess they do, but everybody else does. But see, your money goes to all kind of crazy regulations, just like the lead. See, all the lead that goes in bullets was made in one place, in one factory in the United States. So they kept increasing the, what do you call it? Regulations, thank you. They kept increasing it, till after a while, you couldn't afford to do it. So what did they do? Moved it overseas. Right. That regulation caused us to lose billions of dollars in a period of years. And see, Trump has gotten rid of a lot of that crap. All right. They want to keep the Supreme Court liberal. Just think about having to stand before Jesus and you were that Supreme Court that legalized abortion. Just think about having to stand before Jesus. Oh, I mean, you're talking about hell. Whew. Willie Parker was supposed to be a doctor. He murders 45 babies a day and claims to be a Christian. There was a group, when they legalized one of these last abortion deals, I believe it was in New York, they had a group of guys and gals there that were people of faith, Christians, that were excited about that. And the Christian in a bunch. They work closely with the media. And then they're all for this kneeling. Oh, you have freedom of speech, and if you want to kneel at a football game in the NFL instead of putting your hand over your heart and standing for the national anthem, then that's okay. It ain't okay with me. I don't watch NFL anymore. I got a son in Afghanistan. There's people that's bled and died. A real man's got ribbons and medals on his chest, not a number on his back. People died for you to have freedom of speech, and you have the audacity to kneel when the national anthem is played. It wouldn't do for me to go to a game. I'd go to jail. They believe free education, free health care, global environmental. I mean, they're pushing that out the wazoo. And my God, people, where's that money coming from? It's coming right out of your pocket. They even want to tell you what you believe. Hillary Clinton, somebody said, well, when it comes to abortion. You know, Bernie was just, I believe that a woman's body is up to her. She can do what she wants to with her body. It ain't her body. It's that baby's body. And her body didn't. I mean, you know, Jesus. Yeah, go put your little vagina on your hat and go to marching. Hillary Clinton said, well, you know, somebody said, you know, some people, you know, they believe it's a sin. You know what she said? Well, they'll just have to change what they believe. See, they're after changing what you believe.
That's right.
Now, I'm gonna do this. See, when it says they've been turned over to a reprobate mind, it means a mind that's void of judgment. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, I'm finishing up, okay? Y'all all right? I may say something else to shock y'all. Y'all better stay awake. You know me, I could. It could happen. Now, 2 Thessalonians, second chapter, starting in the 3rd verse. Let no man deceive you, by any means, for that the day shall not come, except that there will be a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Did anybody see any churches that's having a great falling away? Churches, not even churches. Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called of God, or that is worshipped, so that he is God sitting in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Now that could be talking about a man, but it could be talking about the news media, it could be talking about the government. It's a spirit, I tell you this. It's a spirit that's ruling. Remember you not that when I was with you, I told you these things, and now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in this time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he now that will let until he is taken out of the way. That's the church is the only thing that's holding this thing together. The only thing that's hindering this spirit from taking completely over is the church. But we're going to be taken out. And then shall the wicked, but see, everything's being set up right now. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness or deception of righteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. This is the decision these people are making. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they might believe a lie, that they all might be damned, who believeth not the truth, but hath pleasure in unrighteousness. That describes the Democratic liberals to a T. They are under strong delusion. Delusion means this: belief or impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality or rational argument, typically a symptom of a mental disorder. Let me read that again. Delusion is a belief or an impression that is firmly maintained despite being contradicted by what is generally accepted as reality or rational agreement. Typically a symptom of a mental disorder. These people I'm talking about, they have a mental disorder. They're under strong delusion. Did you know you can see this? Your ears can hear it too. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, every one of them have been recorded making speeches and saying we have got to do something about the illegal aliens. They all voted. They all were in favor of a wall. As a matter of fact, they set aside $23 million. Or, was it billions? 23 billion, wasn't it? To build a wall. Chuck Schumer was in charge of that. But now when Trump comes along and wants to build a wall, that is racism. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. Strong delusion. What they do and what they say makes no sense at all. Strong delusion. Void. See, we're under judgment. Why? Because God has turned those people over to a reprobate mind, and he's given them over to strong delusion. And most of the church does not even know what's going on. Most of the church does not even know what they're voting for. Most of the church does not even know that they're voting for socialism. And they're voting against God. And they're voting for darkness. Let's receive the communion now. I don't apologize. You can take some of the things that I said out of context and twist it and get offended if you want to, but that's what's in you. It's not in me.